What is going on, guys? How would you like to win this Logitech flight yoke system? All you have to do is click like and subscribe below, and once we reach 1,000 followers, we're going to have a drawing, and one of you out of the first 1,000 is going to win this Logitech flight yoke system. Again, all you have to do is like and subscribe below, and that's it. Easy. So go ahead, click. Thanks, guys. What's happening, guys? Welcome to another episode of Fly with Josh. Today we will be taking off out of North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. And today we're going to be talking about the traffic pattern and also slow flight, departure stalls, and approach to landing stalls. So I have created this handy dandy shortcut document. If you guys would like a copy, just shoot a comment below. I'll try to get this to you. This is something I created as a cheat sheet. It helps me remember mainly my slow flight procedures, my departure stall procedures, and my approach to landing stall procedures. Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started and click ready to fly. So first thing, what we're going to do, we're just going to take off like normal and get in our pattern. So once you start flight training, basically you stay in the pattern quite a bit. And then once you get the pattern down, your instructor may take you out and start practicing stalls. Today we're flying in the Cessna 172. Go ahead and hit Control period under the number pad to release the brake, or you can also right click, get the yoke out of the way here, and this is your parking rate. This is your parking brake. All right, guys, we've got the mixture set to full. Apply a little bit of right rudder once you start taking off to keep it straight. Full power. Look towards the end of the runway. Again, if you're having a hard time, you want to steer with this, keep your hands off at first. Just try to keep it steady. I've got the Logitech pedals here. You kind of get used to them after flying with them a little bit. It still can be a little bit sensitive. And once you reach approximately 60, 65 knots, you start to rotate. Start to rotate here, and we will start to climb approximately 70-ish knots. I'm going to keep an eye on the altimeter over here. Once we reach 1,800 feet, we're going to be 500 feet above the ground. And that's when I'm going to start turning left on the crosswind leg, and then we'll start turning into our downwind leg. So basically, traffic patterns will help you once you reach an airport destination. Start turning left here. Once you reach an airport destination, you'll want to enter the traffic pattern at 1,000 feet, preferably at a 45-degree angle on the downwind leg. And let's go back around here. We're getting to 2,300. We want to get to 2,300 feet because Wilkes Airport is mean sea level 1,300 feet approximately. Start climbing, and of course you can use your Logitech stick to look around here. Okay, so we're 2,300 feet almost, and I'm right up on top of the airport, maybe because the winds are pushing me a little bit. So grab the airplane, try to get to 2,300. You got to give yourself some room. So if you're finding that you're getting pushed a little too close, go ahead and just grab the airplane towards the wind. Try to fly away a little bit. So try to remember to stay at 23 because you want to be at that altitude when you start setting up the land. This plane does not have carburetor heat that I see. So once you get to these hash marks right here, you want to start setting up for your pattern. So normally you'd pull your carburetor heat, slow to 1,500 RPMs, and then pull back on the yoke slightly to slow the plane down. As you can see, here is your RPMs. So we want to go down a little more. Okay, get back out here before we do anything stupid. All right, and once we get over here in this white arc, that's when you can hit a notch of flaps. So let's go ahead and set our first notch. And we want to keep the airspeed around 75 knots or 80 miles an hour. Figure out where the airport is. And we've already passed where we need to start turning for our base. So we're turning base, keep an eye on the airspeed. We'll stay around 1500 RPMs. Get an idea of where the airport is. There she is. All right, we are on base. So now we want to hit another notch of flaps, so the F7 key to drop another notch. So you can see they're lowering down there for us. Keeping our airspeed good. Getting a little too far on our base leg. We're going to start lining up for final here, and we will see where the airport is. So yeah, the wind's pushing us a little bit, guys. So sometimes you got to give it a little bit of power, try to get lined back up. Even though push this little ways, you can always adjust the throttle to get lined back up if the winds are pushing you around. So we're a little high now, and we're going to do a high power off landing. So I know we've got it made. Let's hit F8 to dump the rest of the flaps. Pick a spot on the runway. Keep it at 80 miles an hour. If you can. If you're coming in a little fast, you might have a little bit of a tailwind. So stare at a dash that's not moving. I'm looking at the third one. Start rounding out. Use your feet. Try not to pull back if you can. Once you start settling, look towards the end of the runway and pull back slowly. Let the airplane get in ground effect and touch down. Okay? So normally at this time, the instructor will say, all right, clean it up, which means flaps up, flaps identified. So hit the F5 key and go full power, carburetor heat off if you have carburetor heat. And you can radio to November 13450 on the go, runway 19. Go ahead and rotate. So that's your basic left-handed traffic pattern. Just imagine an invisible rectangle around the airport that's at 1,000 feet above ground level. And that's basically the pattern you enter once you start landing, and especially with other planes. You kind of line up behind each other, but give each other enough room. You know, you don't want to be on top of each other when you land in case something goes wrong with the landing. We're going to do that one more time for you guys. Again, once we get to 1,800 feet, which is 500 feet above the ground, we're going to start turning to the left here. Keep climbing. Don't lollygag around, as my instructor says, you know, just in case something goes awry. Keep climbing. We're going to start turning slightly here to get on our downwind leg. So this airport does not have a tower. You're not required to have, you're not required to communicate, basically. All right, we're at 23 something. We're going to get back down to 2,300 instead of getting to 24. So we are on the downwind leg now of runway 19. So normally you want to radio at this time. So Wilkes County traffic, November 13450 is downwind for runway 19. A lot of times too, if other people in the area, if you haven't seen them, they'll radio in and say, hey, you know, just keep an eye out for me. I'm coming in here. I'm at this elevation and so and so. So keep an eye, give yourself some room for the airport. Once we get, again, guys, to this 1,000-foot hash mark here, I'm going to start setting the plane up to land. So go ahead and drop it to 1,500 RPMs, carburetor heat if you've got it. Let the nose come back to slow the plane down. Once you get in the white arc over here, and we are now hit F7 for a notch of flaps. You see that the flaps come down. Okay, watch the airspeed start turning for your base. And guys, you can also radio, it's always best practice to radio where you are. Again, we're a little too slow, guys. Don't want to get into a stall here, so I'm gonna give a little bit more power. Wind's messing with us a little bit today, so we can go ahead and radio Wilkes County, November 1, tree 450 on base, turning final for runway 19, 450. Wind's pushing us around. We're way high. I'm gonna go ahead and kill on power and go ahead and dump my flaps, because I know we've got it made because we are high. We're gonna go ahead and do a slip, guys. So we're gonna turn the wings to the right, to the left, and full right rudder, nose down. This is a slip, okay?
500.
I'm gonna slip the airplane in with flaps. Some airplanes say it's not recommended with flaps. Slips are good if your airplane doesn't have flaps, or if you lose flaps. So coming in a little fast here. We're just going to let the speed dissipate. Try to fly it a little bit longer than normal. Getting ground effect here. Try to keep it on the center line. Pull back. And we're down, guys. Okay. All right, clean it up. Carburetor heat off. Flaps identified. Flaps up. See if we can get taken off here. One more time. I'll give you guys a preview of a departure stall, actually on the departure here. But our next lesson will actually cover stalls. All right, so you're taking off. Let's say, oh man, I just want to climb. I just want to climb. So watch your speed. Once you start pointing that nose up, even though you have a beefy engine, or may have a beefy engine, you can still stall this thing. So you're going to hear the stall horn start going off. So you apply right rudder, right rudder, right rudder. Ailerons are not worth anything. Okay, so we've stalled the airplane. You see how scary and how fast that is. Departure. So you don't want to pull back too much on your takeoffs. And of course, your slow flight, that's to help you practice landings. So if you want to do slow flight, which is approach to landing stall, you do clearing turns. So that's one thing you do once you go out here and you want to practice these maneuvers. Of course, radio that you're going to be practicing these maneuvers in the area. Before you do any of them, practice your S turns. Practice your clearing turns. So clearing turns, just make sure, VFR, you don't see anything coming. Just keeps you safe and anyone else safe in the area. So let's go ahead and practice approach the landing stall. Let's say we've done our clearing turns, which is just, 90 degrees to the left, 90 degrees back to the right. Everything looks good. Put our carburetor heat on, power to 1500 RPMs. Okay, we're already slow, so go full flaps. Let's zoom in here, make sure we're on 1510, that's pretty close. Throttle all the way back, shallow descending turn. But not too much, a slow, slight turn. And start pulling back a little bit slower, a little bit more. Right rudder, and just keep pulling. It'll eventually stall. These 172s are hard to stall. Okay, there's our stall. Full power, carburetor heat off. And it may not seem intense on a simulator, but in real life, the first few times you do this, it's kind of scary. It'll make you a little nauseous too sometimes. So that's one of the maneuvers you'll practice. And then the other maneuver, of course, is very easy, is slow flight. So you do your clearing turns, turn your carburetor heat on if you have it, power back to 1500 RPMs. Speed's already in the wide arc, but guys, one thing we forgot is to put our flaps up one notch at a time. So you want to go hold the flaps 1001, 1002, stop. 1001, 1002, stop. 1001, 1002, stop. That'll get you back. Make sure your flaps up by looking over here. The reason you want to pull them up all at once is that can create some issues for you. So you want the airplane to stabilize. That's why you do 1 notch every 2 seconds or so. Let the airplane stabilize. Okay, guys, so we'll do our slow flight here, 1500 RPM. Gonna go full flaps again, hit the F8 key. And you want to keep the airplane at around 65 miles an hour. So you got to pull back. So on here, that's probably around 70-ish knots. So this is slow flight, guys. You see that speed drop and you need to increase the power. So that's your slow flight. So again, guys, these are the things that you can expect when you go up with a flight instructor after a few lessons. And then eventually you will solo, and then after that you have to go out and practice these on your own. Okay, guys, we're going to turn around now. We've been flying for a little bit. Let's just go back. Let's say we've been flying around practicing our maneuvers, and then we're like, okay, I want to fly back to the airport, but what do I do? Okay. So you tune into your AWOS, find out which way the wind is blowing and how fast. So let's say the winds are calm. We're just going to land on the runway 19. So we're pretty much here. So what we want to do, get back to 2,300 feet. Start turning to the right here. And we can go ahead and, once we get straightened up, radio in. Wells County, November 1, tree 450, downwind for runway 19, landing with a full stop. Go ahead and put our flaps all the way up so we can get our landing configuration kind of normal. So we'll go ahead and drop it down to 1500. Get a notch of flaps in. I rushed it a little bit there. Now we're in the wide arc, so we're okay. Push the nose down for some speed. Start turning here for our base. Okay, we're on base. Radio if you want. Go ahead and hit another notch of flaps with the F7 key. I can see we're going to be a little close once we start turning final here. But I do like the high approach landings with no power. It's the way I was trained. Just in case you're coming in on an approach and if something happens, you've got some time to make it. You've got the distance above ground to make it. So we're way high. So we'll hit F8. We may go ahead and just let's do a little bit of a slip here. This airport landing strip's pretty long, so I wouldn't recommend this. I would do a go around in real life, but since this is a simulator, you can kind of get an idea of what to do. So just let the speed dissipate here on us. Look towards the end of the runway, getting ground effect and float. And touchdown. Okay. All right, and we'll hit our brakes and pull back on the yoke to slow us down. And that's it, guys. That is how you fly a traffic pattern and how you do some, your slow flight, your departure stalls, and your approach to landing stalls. Again, guys, this is my cheat sheet. If you want, screenshot this, make you a copy. If you're currently flying in the real world, This will definitely help, fold it up, put it on your knee board, whatever you're using. All right, guys, that will do it again for another episode of Fly with Josh. Again, click like and subscribe below, and don't forget to enter our contest for the Logitech flight yoke system. And I hope you guys have a great day.